Hi, sweeties. How are you doing? Welcome to Naya and Sim, and thank you all so much for all the love and support. Hope you all are doing great. I do not like it when people say this. Stop talking about it, and when you stop talking about it, it will go away. Because since people did not talk about it, I did not see anything go away. So what do? We bring awareness to let people know that some certain things are happening. Because I see people writing me and sending messages and all that, saying that emailing me, I mean to say, and saying that I am making some of these stories up. I do not make anything up. All these things are what are going on, and the happenings around all over the world. Now, the fact that a child actually knew what she was doing, come on Zoom and change her name to scream racial slurs on a black child representing something in school, and saying, go back to where you come from. Tell them to take you back to where, and I tell them to take you back to where you come from. And a young palm colored child is using the N word and using it as like, there are some things you see, you are in kind of in shock, because I really don't know how people learn about this. And now, before I go, I am going to tell you that Praga, you also has, it's already like, we all already know that there is Praga U in, what is it called? They are using the curriculum already in Florida, and now Louisiana also adopted Praga U materials. And you all know Praga U is adulterated history. And I am going to encourage everybody to make sure that you teach your kids or your nephews and nieces the right history. Let's get into this video.
Racism will go away if we just stop talking about it, they say. A lot of people sent me what I'm about to show you. This is a city council meeting, I think, from last week, where two young ladies got up to advocate for themselves and stuff they need at their school, and then this wretched person decided to chime in via Zoom.
I'm Venetia Carey. We are from Monarch Montessori, a DPS public school in Montbello.
We are here to ask for help to get our school a yurt for a classroom. Here are some reasons why we need a new classroom.
Yes. If you need space, go back to Africa. Nobody wants you here. Whoa. All you do is burn down and ruin stuff. You little.
We are a Montessori school.
You unmuted me again, you dumb boomer. Go ahead, protect the protect the and kick
No. Producer, can we remove them?
Why would you remove me when you should remove the
Yeah.
Or better yet, the Jews that brought them here? Disgusting.
They're gone. They're gone from the Zoom. I'm really sorry about that.
And of course, a bunch of people were like, can you find her? Looks like she used a name. Well, this name is actually evidence that she knew exactly what she was doing when she joined that Zoom call, because this is not her name. This is the name of a woman who was attacked by her pet chimp, and it ate her face off. And I don't think I need to lay out for you the statement that they're making when they chose this name before coming into that city council meeting and saying those horrible things. Will they ever find that person? I have no idea. A bunch of you saw that, though, and were outraged by it. Interesting enough, as that video was going everywhere, I saw a video post from a father that nobody was really seeing. A post where his daughter had recorded on the school bus, essentially. This is a shuttle for the school with a driver from the school. And she was experiencing this from a student who was probably 9 years old.
Can you shut up, Sh0ck? Thank you.
Can you shut up?
What?
Can you shut up?
What'd you say?
I said, fucking shut up. Can you shut up, Huh?
They're both,
I'm done with you.
If you touch me, I'm gonna touch
David,
you.
I don't care.
If you touch me, I'm gonna touch you. Like, I'm letting you know that now, bro. If you touch me, I'm gonna touch you.
I don't care.
So I'm letting you know that now. If you put your hands on me, I'm gonna put my hands on you.
I don't care.
I'm just gonna let you know, David. You're gonna get your ass beat. So if I was there, sit down back in the
I don't
seat.
give a fuck.
And you ain't gonna get in my face, bud.
You're not helping.
Can you please sit down and put your seatbelt? Louder, brother!
No.
Louder, brother!
I'm not sitting down.
911, David refused to sit down, unbuckled, trying to pick a fight with faith.
Don't do anything. Weak bitch.
I blurred his face because he's a child, and that is learned behavior. He didn't come up with that on his own. Someone taught him that that's okay. And worse yet, the more disturbing part to me, quite frankly, is the fact that not only does that bus driver not immediately shut him down for saying those things, in the beginning, I'm pretty sure I hear him laughing. And that guy's daughter said he did end up radioing and that kid was removed and isn't going to be riding the shuttle anymore. But that was only after she believes he noticed her recording. But racism will go away if we just stop talking about it, right? Right?
Good morning. So in Louisiana news, the state is about to adopt Prager University school materials for their curriculum for K through 12 social studies. That's history. They're going to announce it, or they already have announced it, May 28th. And already, Prager University already tweeted that they're excited to go into the classrooms of Louisiana. We've already watched a video of them letting Candace Owens lie about enslavement of Africans in the United States of America. But Louisiana is not only a state that has a GOP supermajority in the House, the Senate, the Supreme Court, and the governor's office, where they can just push shit like this with no pushbacks from Democrats because they don't need them. They have the numbers due to people not showing up to vote. Now they're about to take over your schools. But it's also important to note that Louisiana, especially places like New Orleans, was a pivotal place when it came to American history. As someone who grew up going to an all-black, all-girl school in Louisiana, in New Orleans, who had teachers who took her to historical sites that still exist today, that took the stories of our history off the pages and made them real for us by going to the battlefield of New Orleans and Chalmette, by going to Congo Square, by going to the Whitney Plantation, by going to Canal Street and breaking down the divide of neutral grounds. I really hope people are concerned because we have a teacher shortage and now we have a curriculum design to brainwash kids about true American history in this country. So that means as parents, you have to do the work because teachers have to abide by the laws of the state and teach what is required. Now let me give you resources. The Black History 365 textbooks are available online for you to purchase from 3rd grade through high school, where it teaches you all of our history so that a child can understand. And it's very important that you have books like these in times like these because so much of our information is being lost thanks to legislation, which is why it's important for you to actually vote because now it impacts your kids. If you didn't care before, you should care now. The Black History 365 textbook does not start with enslavement. It starts with ancient African ancestry. It starts with our history before we were slaves. And you get at least 100 pages talking about our contributions to society before colonization. I partnered with Black History 365 for this very reason, to make sure that we know our history. So if you go to colorfulstory.com and you click on the book section on the main page, it'll take you to the Black History 365 website where you can purchase books from K through 12 for your kids. Do not let them people brainwash your children. Please be involved in your child's learning.
That Black Africans sold other Black Africans into slavery is a well-known and is often offered as a rationalization by apologists for the institution of slavery. And lo and behold, this is exactly what this commenter is doing. This is a quote from the book Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome. And in Dr. Joy's book, she says that there are certain behaviors that people who come from the history of enslavement often display because of the history of enslavement. And one of the behaviors is this one, trying to justify the slavery that happened in Latin America just because Africans sold their quote unquote own people into slavery. Dr. Joyce says this has led to significant misunderstanding regarding the role of Africans in the slave trade. When enemy tribes in Africa made war, the conquerors took prisoners and made them what we call indentured servitude, not chattel. Those two things are different, okay? With the coming of the European slavers, vanquished warriors could be sold in an effort to reduce the enemy's tribe's warrior forces. So essentially, let's remember that Africa wasn't always known for the countries that it has right now. They were actually different tribes. And there was no Pan-Africanism back in the days before the transatlantic slave trade. So the Yoruba tribe and the Bantu tribe didn't see each other as one people. So when people say, oh, Africans sold their own people into slavery, they didn't see each other as one people, just like DR and Haiti don't see each other as one people. Additionally, African slavery was not the same as chattel slavery that occurred after the Europeans started the transatlantic slave trade, chattel slavery. And I think the issue with Latin America, specifically the Dominican Republic, is that people in the Dominican diaspora have been taught that the slavery that occurred on the island of Hispaniola, or then called Santo Domingo, wasn't as brutal. But that is confusing because you cannot tell me that the Spanish had brutal slavery, chattel slavery in Cuba, in Colombia, parts of Mexico, Argentina, literally different places in Latin America. But in Santo Domingo, there wasn't any brutal slavery. And another argument a lot of people like to make is that because the island was on slow decline of population, that's also a good argument for slavery not being as brutal. Despite the fact that during the history of slavery, there has been no country or colony where the master population outnumbered the enslaved population. So even if the population of then Hispaniola or Santo Domingo was, let's say, like 1,000 people, this is just a made-up number because there aren't really good records of population. But let's say it was 1,000 during that time, during the 15th and 16th and 1700s. I can guarantee you that maybe about 100 of those people were slave owners and the rest were slaves. And some of those slave owners were of mixed descent, because there were some laws that granted people of mixed descent freedom and even chance to have higher positions. However, black people, pure black people, weren't given those same privileges. So just because mixed people had privilege to own slaves and have power, but your full black people didn't, doesn't make slavery any better, or chattel slavery any better. Because in DR, black enslaved people who had children with other black enslaved people, their children would still be slaves. That is chattel slavery. And Africans in Africa never had that kind of slavery. That slavery, that kind of slavery, that chattel slavery started in the little island of Hispaniola, okay? And not by the French, but by the Spanish. They were the blueprint of everything. And nobody's rationalizing or justifying indentured servitude in Africa, because slavery is still bad. But you can't use the fact that Africans from different tribes sold their other tribal Africans into European slavery to justify what the Spanish did. Because what the Spanish did was 10 times worse.
But we all know that each time they tell us that racism will go away if we stop talking about it, we already know that there are gaslighting and that it's some period. The fact that people wake up to do some certain things or say some certain things is really disgusting on its own. But then this is what Black people see on daily basis, right? And people still doubt or tell you that you are making all this up. How are all this being made up? All this cannot actually be made up, no matter how you try to make it up, because they are not one source, one face. It's not one source, different sources, different faces, and all that, right? So each time I hear people say, where do you get all this from? You're probably making them up. There is nobody making anything up. And the fact that this person that came on the Zoom and said that take them back to where they come from, came and used a different name from her own name, tells you that they know what they are doing. Most of them, they know what they are doing. Some of them are just, it's already in their blood that it cannot be washed away, right? But we keep ignoring them or keep thinking that they are going to do better or they are going to change. A rich disease cannot change. Rather, they evolve and come out in different forms and different ways. Now, let's get into PragerU. You all already know. I don't think PragerU is just something new to you. That Jewish man who is trying so hard to turn Black history into something else. And the fact that somebody that does not know anything about Black history is out there trying to teach people adulterated, because that is what I call it, adulterated Black history, is really upsetting. How do you tell somebody's history that you know nothing about, and then it's been influenced in school and it's all over online? You all remember, this is actually, PragerU has actually been there, but the fact that they actually said that it's going to be, schools are also in Louisiana, it's already in Florida, and now Louisiana is already adopting it. And before you know what's going on, one thing with all this is that it keeps moving from one state to another, not until they achieve their aim and all that. Because all of a sudden, the kids are very fragile, or African American history, it's very violent to teach people and all that. Like how did somebody come out to tell people that their history violates other people's right and all that? It's really horrifying, but it is what it is, But then what do we do? What do we do? The best we can do as human is just keep teaching our kids, because the kids really have to know what is going on. They have to know the history. You have to teach them, because if you do not teach them, they wouldn't know. And when you do not teach them, I feel like when parents do not teach their kids the proper history and all that, you have actually failed in that child's life, because you need to inculcate and let them know this is where you come from. This is how your history is and all that, because the way they are trying to, claim the history is just something that I really do not understand, because all of a sudden slavery benefited slaves and the rest of it. So do yourself good. Make sure you teach your kids African American history. Make sure the books that are being banned, that you get them books that they can read and study at home to enlighten them. Because one thing about history is that when you do not know it, you are bound to repeat the history. But I think every child should actually be knowledgeable of what happened in his or her sister, or like happened in his or her history, to be able to navigate towards it and the rest of it. That's all I have to say. Thank you all so much for all the love and support, and see you all in my next video. My niece is actually around. See you all in my next video. Bye for now.